Tell me something. Have you ever loved so hard that her silence felt louder than her voice? Have you stared at her last message, the one that ended everything, hoping the typing dots would reappear? She said she needed space, didn't she? But space feels like a graveyard when every memory still breathes. You keep asking yourself why. Why she walked away when you gave her everything. Why she laughs online while you drown offline. Why the woman who once promised forever now treats you like a stranger. Here's the truth no one told you. Attraction isn't about looks or money. It's psychological. And right now, she's still tied to you in ways she'll never confess. In this video, I'll expose the 6 hidden weaknesses every woman carries. The unspoken triggers that even she doesn't understand. The reasons she runs, the moments she breaks, the subtle ways she tests your strength. But before we go deeper, I want you to do something brave. Type in the comments the last thing your ex ever said before she left. Not for her, for you. Because the moment you speak it, you start to heal it. And if you're ready to finally understand why love hurts the way it does, hit subscribe. Stay till the end. Because by the time this video is over, you'll never chase her again. She'll chase you. 1. The power of emotional control. Let's start with the hardest truth most men never hear. A woman doesn't fall in love with your emotions. She falls for how you control them. When you beg for reconciliation after she leaves, when you cry, plead, or over-explain, she doesn't see your love, she sees your loss of control. It's not because she's cruel. It's because on a primal level, women are wired to seek stability in chaos. When you lose yourself trying to win her back, you silently tell her you no longer have the strength she once admired. Think about it. When she first fell for you, what drew her in? It wasn't your desperation. It was your calm confidence, your mystery, your sense of direction. The moment you started chasing, you flipped the energy. You became the one who needed her approval. Stoicism teaches us one golden rule. You cannot control another person's choices, only your response to them. And that response is where attraction is reborn. When you stay calm in heartbreak, when you let silence do the talking, when you rebuild your purpose instead of begging for hers, you become magnetic again. Women are drawn to men who can feel deeply without being controlled by those feelings. So remember, never beg for reconciliation, heal in silence, because nothing shakes a woman's soul more than realizing the man she left didn't fall apart. 2. The illusion of connection and the trap of obsession. Now let's talk about something darker. The digital ghost of your past. You've probably done it. You open her Instagram, scroll through her photos, zoom in on her smile, convincing yourself you're just checking in. But here's what's really happening. Every time you visit her profile, your brain reopens the wound you're trying to heal. You're not watching her, you're feeding your pain. Psychologically, stalking an ex keeps you addicted to the chemical cocktail of nostalgia, rejection, and false hope. Dopamine, cortisol, serotonin, they all dance in a loop that keeps you trapped between what was and what never will be again. You tell yourself, I just want to see how she's doing. But deep down, what you want is reassurance that she still misses you, that she still looks back. And that's the biggest lie. Because if you're watching her, you're not living your own story. Stoicism reminds us that attention is the purest form of energy. Whatever you give it to grows. So if you keep watering the memory of her, that ghost becomes stronger than your present. You stop living and start existing as a reflection of who she wanted you to be. The moment you stop checking, something incredible happens. The fog begins to lift. You rediscover your focus, your energy, your quiet strength. And ironically, that's the exact moment she begins to wonder about you again. Not because you chased, but because you disappeared. That's the paradox of attraction. The less you seek validation, the more powerful your presence becomes. For the death of purpose and the resurrection of the self. Here's another truth most men never face. When you sacrifice your goals to fix the past, you stop being the man she once fell for. You lose your purpose, your edge, your direction. Think about the first version of you she met. Ambitious, focused, maybe even a little unpredictable. You had dreams, goals, and fire in your eyes. Then love happened, and slowly, without realizing, you started making her your goal. You began adjusting your path to please her. You delayed your ambitions, compromised your values, and forgot who you were before her. And that's when attraction started to fade. Not because she stopped loving you, but because you stopped being you. Women don't fall for the man who lives for them. They fall for the man who lives through purpose. A man who walks his path so fearlessly that she wants to walk beside him. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's your mission now. Stop chasing ghosts and start rebuilding yourself. Return to your path, the gym, the grind, your craft, your vision. Your goals are not a distraction from love. They are the foundation of it. Because when a man is aligned with his purpose, his energy shifts. He stops chasing women, and women start chasing him. If you want a woman to be obsessed, show her that she's a part of your journey, not the reason for your existence. 4. The solitude paradox, turning isolation into power. Let's talk about loneliness. That crushing silence after a breakup. That feels like it'll never end. Most men isolate themselves not to heal but to hide. They cut off friends, avoid people, and sit in the dark replaying memories like a broken movie reel. But here's something the Stoics understood. Solitude isn't punishment. It's purification. When you're alone, the noise fades. The masks drop. You face yourself, raw, broken, unfiltered. And that's where transformation begins. But if you use loneliness to pity yourself instead of rebuild, it becomes poison. You stop evolving and start decaying. Don't run from solitude to harness it. Journal, train, read, reconnect with your mind and body, because the man who can enjoy his own company becomes unstoppable. He doesn't need validation. He doesn't need distraction. And ironically, that's what women crave most. A man so grounded that being with him feels like peace, not pressure. When you can sit alone in silence without breaking, you become the storm she respects, not the wind she controls. So if you're isolated right now, remember, it's not the end of your story. It's the reforging of your character. 5. The weakness of emotion. Why spite and revenge destroy your power. Let's talk about something that silently destroys more men than heartbreak ever could: revenge. When she leaves, your pride screams for justice. You want her to see you winning. You want her to regret it. You want to make her feel the pain she gave you. But here's the truth. The moment you act out of spite, you hand her your power again. You think revenge makes you strong, but in reality it makes you predictable. Because when your happiness depends on her noticing your success, she still controls you. That's the paradox of anger. It feels powerful but keeps you chained to the past. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." And that's the heart of Stoic attraction. Your calmness, in the face of betrayal, becomes your greatest weapon. Don't post for her. Don't prove anything. Don't try to make her jealous. She's not your audience anymore, you are. When you channel your pain into purpose, something incredible happens. Your energy shifts from "I'll show her" to "I'll build me." And trust me, nothing haunts a woman more than the silence of a man she thought was broken. Because silence isn't emptiness, and it's control. A man at peace with himself radiates a quiet confidence that no drama can touch. That's why spite fails. It's reactive. But stoicism? It's strategic. You win not by fighting, but by outgrowing. And the day you stop seeking her reaction is the day you finally become unforgettable. 6. The trap of false friendship and the courage to let go. Now let's talk about one of the most painful lies we tell ourselves after heartbreak. We can still be friends. You convince yourself it's maturity. You say you're fine. You promise her you're okay being just friends. But deep down, every message from her still burns. Every time she mentions another guy, your stomach twists. You pretend to be calm, but your heart is screaming. That's not friendship. That's self-torture dressed as emotional maturity. Here's the truth. When you pretend to be just friends with someone you still love, you delay your healing and destroy your dignity. You're trying to hold on to the crumbs of connection because you're afraid to face the silence of letting go. But let me ask you, how can you move forward when you keep walking in circles around the past? Stoicism teaches detachment, not denial. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about understanding that you must care enough for yourself to stop bleeding for someone who's already moved on. Yes, letting go hurts. It's supposed to. Growth always does. But the pain of release is temporary. The pain of pretending lasts forever. And something powerful happens when you finally step away. The fog clears, the noise fades, and for the first time you hear your own voice again. That's when you rediscover who you were before love, and who you can become after it. True strength isn't in holding on. It's in having the courage to say, "This chapter is closed. 7. The financial illusion. Never pay for peace. Now we move to something practical, but deeply psychological. When a relationship ends, some men still find themselves financially supporting their ex. Maybe it's guilt. Maybe it's habit. Maybe it's emotional blackmail disguised as kindness. But here's what you need to understand. When you give money to a woman who no longer gives you love, you're paying to keep your pain alive. It's not generosity, it's fear. Fear of being seen as the bad guy. Fear of her thinking you've stopped caring. Fear of losing the last string connecting you to her. But money given without respect is never appreciated. And you can't buy closure. Not with gifts, not with help, not with comfort. The moment you stop financing the memory of love, you start rebuilding your self-worth. A woman might admire kindness, but she respects boundaries. When you stand firm and say, "No, this is where I draw the line," you send a message not just to her, but to yourself. My value is not for sale. Stoicism teaches us that everything external, money, possessions, approval, is temporary. But character, that's eternal. And when you protect your boundaries, you protect your peace. That's what truly attracts a woman, and not what you give her, but what you refuse to give away, your dignity. 8. The poison of comparison, the ghost of her shadow. Let's face it, when you meet someone new after heartbreak, a part of you still compares her to your ex. You look for the same smile, the same energy, the same spark. You think you're moving on, but you're actually searching for her replacement, not your renewal. Comparison is emotional sabotage. It traps you in a loop where no one new ever feels right, because your heart is still anchored to someone who left. But here's the psychology behind it. Your brain is addicted to familiarity. It clings to patterns because they feel safe even when they hurt. You're not in love with your ex anymore. You're in love with the story you created with her. Stoicism breaks that illusion. It reminds you that the past cannot be relived, only learned from. When you stop comparing, you open space for something real, not a repeat of what broke you, but the rebirth of who you are now. So next time you meet someone new, don't ask, "Is she like my ex?" Ask, "Can she grow with the man I've become?" Because once you've healed, you'll realize you don't want another her, you want peace. 9. The shackles of memory. Letting go of emotional anchors. There's something most men secretly do. They hold on to physical reminders of the past. The hoodie she left behind. The photos in your gallery. The letters, the perfume, the playlist. You tell yourself you're keeping them for the memories. But in truth, you're keeping them for the pain. Every item becomes an anchor, keeping you tied to a version of yourself that no longer exists. Every glance at those objects reopens the wound you're trying to heal. If you truly want to move on, you must let go of everything that keeps your heart hostage. Throw it away. Delete the photos. Let the silence erase her presence. Because freedom isn't found in forgetting her. It's found in forgiving yourself for holding on this long. The Stoics believe that detachment isn't the absence of love. It's the mastery of it. It's the ability to feel deeply, lose completely, and still remain whole. When you finally release the mementos, you send a message to your subconscious. I no longer live in yesterday. And that's when real attraction begins again, not toward women, but toward life itself. Conclusion. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you is awakening. You're not just watching this to learn about women. You're watching this to reclaim yourself. The truth is, female attraction isn't about tricks or tactics. It's about energy. And the strongest energy a man can have is peace. When you no longer beg for reconciliation, stalk her pages, sacrifice your goals, isolate in grief, act out of spite, pretend friendship, or finance your heartbreak. You rise above everything that once broke you. You become the man who doesn't chase because he attracts. You become the calm in the chaos, the mountain in the storm. And when a woman meets a man like that, grounded, composed, purpose-driven, she doesn't just want him, she respects him. So if you've ever felt invisible, remember this. You were never the problem. You just forgot your power. And today, you take it back. Now before you go, I want you to comment the truth that's been hiding inside you. What was the hardest part of letting her go? Say it, write it, free it. Because healing starts when honesty begins. And if this message spoke to you, subscribe. Not for me, but for the man you're becoming. Because this isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your rebirth. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.